What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to SGL Monday Podcast Days. Sorry, I am hearing myself twice. That is a consequence of me not muting the site, but keeping the stream open. Hello and welcome on in, especially Cyber, who was one of the first to chat in here. I am your host, Mr. Debit. I am one that gets all the attention thrown back at him, telling how bad he is at power rankings, how handsome he looks IRL. And, I get to always do it with the most handsomest guest host as well. But here in the booth with me, looking over ahead, Mr. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Where'd he go? Excuse me. Where'd Rydog go? Fellas, who's entering the booth? Who took Rydog's spot? What is happening?
Oh my god!
Maz! What's happening? Producer Maz. Wait, what? No. Oh, wait. Maz, you taking over? What the?
Yes, I am in for tonight. Because Rydog is out celebrating a very special moment. So we have given him tonight off. And because of that, I am back into the SGL podcast booth for episode 35. And Debit, I am so glad to be here for this episode because week 12 has been absolute cinema.
You're telling me, I thought, after the previous week when we had talked about league results, we had nothing going for it. The league was going to form into its own, the results were going to hang on, and, the title races would kind of be solved. Well, in one aspect, the title races are pretty much about where they should be. The problem is, everywhere else just decided to be insanity, and as quite literally you put it, absolute cinema. We gotta take a look at what happened this past week here in week 12, because I'm just gonna run down the results, and you gotta solve this for yourself. Casey Cauldron taking down Lacinco Dose, a team that we had no idea how to power rank or how to prescribe if they were really that good or not. Casey gets it done in 5 against the high-flying Cinco Dose team. Timbers Army taking down EM Dallas Burn. A bit expected, but EMDB, they returned to their, getting beat 3-1 ways. So nothing too surprising there, but getting a result against Timbers Army is nothing to scoff at. One of the biggest ones, Sounders RC sweeping El Matador, and what the? Okay, we're gonna have to digest that one in power rankings as we go forth. ECRC, in a last sort of whatever throw you want to call it with this whole issue we had this past week, they get taken down in 5 for a Chrome team that gets to hang in the title race at least for another week. And even the championship, the action doesn't stop. EC Defiance versus LV, boring sweep. ECD get the job done. FSD Azul, Axe and Rose made him go to 5. Oh, it's there was no way to predict what matchup you could throw on stream, and unfortunately Thursday just had to have everybody in it. But we at least got to see a little bit of action of EC Eternal taking down the potential to actually have a chance to Rebellion at the title Steel Army in 5. Whoa, dude, Maz, I know we've talked about a lot, but are there too many series to focus in on, or can we even narrow this down? What are we feeling?
I mean, it is a good question. I think we can rule out discussing FSD Azul versus Axe and Rose because that was not played out on a stream. We do have the replays, fortunately, but because we have so much more to cover, I think we could just put that aside for now. Because in all honesty, we gotta talk about EC Turner versus Steel Army in the championship. I think that's the numero uno match to focus on because that had direct title implications. And then we could go into the premiere where we could focus on Cauldron, Lacinco Dose, and Sounders RC versus EM. I would like to talk about ECRC versus Frontera Chrome, but again, we have so much to just talk about that we have to cut stuff out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We just had to have everybody throw in all their chips in this 1 week. So now we're just how do we respond? There's not an equal amount of stuff to, distribute around. Hard to hone in on a couple. But yeah, especially with EC Eternal matchup nobody would have predicted probably to go that way, especially considering in the cup a couple weeks prior, they got swept by Steel Army. So this going to 5 was like a whole new ball game. They came out high flying and absolutely just laid on the pressure to Steel Army, causing them to be majorly uncomfortable, even in the rotation games. So this is a really impressive result for them to pull out in this one. I definitely like looking back at that Sounders RC EM one, because Sounders RC, we have kind of just been, waiting for them to pull out a result. Now, Grant, El Matador probably was the perfect team to get that on. So I'm glad to see this finally at least got rewarded this time around.
And you know what? One thing I really wanted to talk about regarding EC Eternal is I'm so happy they got this big result, because it was a long time coming. And you also could hear it in their, interview answers. Like, they just sounded so confident and they looked so forward to this match that they really wanted to get that win. And you know what? I'm so happy they did get this win, because it shows how far they've come in just one season. Sure, Funk and Huskies have been around for a while, but the rest of the team is brand new and they have stepped up big time. So props to EC Eternal for a massively significant win in the championship this season. For Steel Army, though, I do want to talk about this with you, Debit, because when watching that gameplay, to me, you guys looked a bit too slow, and you guys were a bit too loose with the ball, in the sense that you weren't really keeping it to yourselves. You were just knocking it away, in the hopes that by putting it high up and far, that EC Eternal would not be able to reach for it. So I don't know if that was something that you guys planned for, or if that's something that you guys defaulted to in a bit of a state of panic just because of how well EC Eternal were playing.
A bit of to the latter point. It had been working for a while. Their mechs weren't as much on par, but they have actually been challenging more. So that's more of a credit to them, actually pulling out, getting more boost grabs, getting more, midfield coverage. Deep Sea, I've been waiting for this dude to actually pop off and get the result. So I'm actually glad to see like he got the result this time around, because I saw that this dude's mechanics were something, and I mean I'm happy for him. I also still hate that it was against me. Yeah, this dude actually balled out. I've been waiting for the consistency to hit, and Huskies might be one of the sharpest shooters that I've witnessed in this series alone. If you like legit just weren't around in the net for him to shoot, you were probably getting scored on. And the rest of the cast just supplied whatever they needed to do, and it was perfect.
Yeah, it's a good thing you brought up both Deep Sea and Huskies, because Deep Sea's mechs take that team to a whole other level. And Huskies is like the glue that puts the whole team together, because he fills in all the gaps and he makes the whole team tick. Without him, they don't have that presence that they would typically have. So for this team to go to the next level, Huskies has to keep playing, and Deep Sea has to keep playing as well. Absolutely.
Gotta agree there. And I'm just gonna shift the focus a little bit, at least to the ECRC FSD Chrome series. This ECRC team was on an upswing a lot, and we thought maybe this could be potentially the end of that title race, but Chrome still get the result. And I don't even know if we want to go too far in depth with this, but even with like the server malfunctions that we had, and like the sort of the miscommunication that happened, like as far as like what was supposed to happen, at least as far as server goes, ECRC actually balled out still.
It's insane, because every week I come in, I'm like, oh, this is the best ECRC has looked. Oh, this is the best ECRC has looked. And they have topped themselves yet again against a really good second place side in Frontera Chrome. And they did this, with players who have upped their game to a whole other level. And I want to shout out Spanky and Gojo right here, because Gojo at the very beginning used to be playing as if he was farming for clips. Now he is consistent in everything he does. His application is full 100%, and him playing this well and this cleanly takes ECRC to a whole other level, along with Spanky becoming so much better. The question is, who's the best third man? Who's the best guy to play with them? And it could be any of Utopia, Smashley, and Toad, All three have their strengths and weaknesses. I'll talk a bit more about Toad later, but I feel like Smashley is just so good at keeping the pace going. Like, he'll keep you on your toes. You know, you cannot just ignore him because he's going to keep putting the ball in the dangerous areas, right? And you know for sure that when he comes up, he's going to win that challenge. Utopia, incredible defensively, just has a very good game sense. He just needs to get used to the faster pace of playing with consistent teammates, and I think he'll go to the next level easily. Toad! For some reason, I feel like he's just lost what he's had. Like, you know that mojo he used to have where he'd step on, you know, the field, and he'd just take over? It's gone. I don't see him be as dominant a presence as he used to be. You know, like, he's lost the goal-scoring touch. Defensively, he still has it a bit, but he's just not showing it as much recently, and he looks like he doesn't fit the team anymore, as weird as it sounds.
Okay. Wow, that's kind of a claim to make right here, right now. I was not ready for that. I'm willing to admit, he's willing to play more defensive, probably sees the other two playing that more aggressive role, so maybe he feels like he has to stay at least a bit conservative back. Maybe not entirely so, but at least more than he's used to seeing. But I don't know if I totally leave it out that he has to do that. I still think he's a quality third man. He's just a different kind of third man. Because third man, you could at least see a bit more mech out of some players. Like maybe you expect that out of Gojo per se, but maybe you switch him up to more as a first man. But in this case, Toad being the number 3, he's kind of used to playing a slam at home when absolutely need be. So maybe this is just a potential style switch up just to see if it's even possible, because ECRC really do love the rotational aspect of their team, being able to throw in anybody. So I don't know, maybe this was a little bit of experiment time given where they're at in the standings. But before we let this conversation go on that we can't possibly take this to power rankings, because this is good quality combo, we gotta start talking about power ranking these teams, because a lot of what we were discussing literally just a second ago sort of ties into that grand whole equation of how we're gonna play this one out. And oh, yep, we gotta take over power rankings. Rydog, get the heck out of here.
Oh shoot,
we gotta bring back in Maz. It's all right, we're doing it on the fly. No longer green. We're bringing back the red.
Actually, wait. Let me, give me a
Unless
second.
you want to pose as Rydog for this one.
Oh, I'm in green. Not anymore.
Beautiful.
All right. Look at that transformation right here. Boom.
Oh man. Not even like a mid translation over there. But yes, as with power rankings, Maz the admin has seen everything from a distance, including streaming. But since I play in the championship, I will be the one going first for the premiere. And honestly, this is actually really hard to do. I have the receipt, but I don't have a camera on me today. But I'm just telling you, it's here, it's ready to go, and oh man, okay. I don't want to start from the bottom like we usually do. I'm starting from the top because it's easier to do that, and it's weird to say that this time around.
Wait,
so I'm gonna
starting
go
from
top
the
down.
top? Hold up, what are you trying to do?
Easier. It's easier to do it that way.
Damn.
Because we already know who the top 2 teams are. It's Timbers Army and FSD Chrome. There's nothing else to say about that. They're getting the results they need to get. They're in a title race. FSD Chrome versus Timbers Army still have to happen. And, it could be absolute cinema at the end. Again, results can shift week to week, but, it's a cup week. So we don't get to see league action for, until next week. So we gotta wait. Even if Chrome have to do it against ECRC, I think they, pulled out the right stops. Yeah, 3-4. Gosh, I have been ragging on this team for a while, and I have literally been like, oh my gosh, I can't possibly put this team, This team literally is the plug-in team, and unfortunately, I hate that they had to beat La Cinco Doce, and I feel like at the same time, Cinco Doce don't deserve to lose a spot in the power rankings, but yet it's hard to not beat the recency bias, KC, and then La Cinco Doce. All right, that leads us to the bottom four.
Can I interrupt you for a sec? You
go for it.
Going through these power rankings with the background music is so sick, because with the way the music wraps up, especially when the violins get going, I'm like, yes, it's hitting the spot right now.
Chat, if you are not familiar, go listen to Mario Strikers Charge OST right now. This specifically is the lava pit, and it is incredible. Absolutely good music to drive through when you're thinking about the dumbass who cut you off in a lane. Don't try and chase him down, but it gives you that fiery attitude about that. I am not advocating for for driving rage right now. Just got to make that absolutely clear. But back to the bottom four. Okay, yes, the first one does reflect the table. It's ECRC. And I think they actually deserve a spot. They are playing a lot better. They still got 2 games out of a Chrome team that was, is still looking really good. They seem to pull out the results no matter what happens. And honestly, I feel like Chrome have like an insane plot armor to them for some reason. But even just to get this result, I think deserves that 5 spot. Here's where things get batshit crazy. 6, 7, 8 is getting way too close for my comfort. And this may be unethical, immoral, maybe outlandish to do, but SRC, welcome to the 6th spot.
Oh, whoa. Okay. All right.
And then nothing else changed between EMDB and EM. EMDB is still the best Dallas team right now in my power ranking. Sounders RC, listen, you sweep El Matador. I don't care if EM are playing for shits and giggles or whatnot. That deserves a recognition. I'ma say it.
That is fascinating, by the way. Can we just talk about El Matador, of all teams, being at the bottom of the power rankings? The team that is stronger on paper compared to EM Dallasburg. The team that won the league title last season and made it to the SGL Cup final last season. The team that brought Huey in from EM Dallasburg is at the bottom.
A team that I think its highest placing spot ever has still been 3rd place, by the way, with not too much gap between them and the league leaders.
That is absolute insanity. Let's just make that very clear right now.
So, I feel like I've stunlocked you to a degree.
Are you done? You don't want to elaborate on anything here, do you?
Not anymore. I feel like I've done enough.
Fair.
Do you think I haven't done enough?
No. I'm not saying that. I think, yeah. You have highlighted pretty much everything that needs to be highlighted. So I guess it's my turn, chat, to go over the power rankings. And I am absolutely going to start from the bottom. For me, I need to address this 8th place team. Because just like you, Debit, I am putting El Matador in there. How they've slipped down to the bottom, for me, is an absolute travesty. And we're talking about players who are super mechy, who have good game sense, and who have a determination to play well. Like they aren't slackers, they actually absolutely want to play well. And yet I have to put them at the bottom because of how bad they've been in the past few weeks. They got swept by Sounders RC. That result alone should put them at the bottom of the table for me in the power rankings. So you guys are going to 8th. Done. 7th. This is where things get interesting, right? Because I am factoring in the results from the past few weeks, and because of that, as much as you guys have been playing very well, Sounders RC, you for me are going to 7th. At least you're not at the bottom, but I'm only putting you there because the other teams around you have been playing better. This is where things will start to get very interesting now, Debit and chat, because 6th for me is ECRC. as impressive as they've been recently, they still haven't been as amazing as EM Dallas Burn, who have stepped it up with a team that's weaker on paper, who've tested all the strong teams, who have just been so good at getting the results they needed to get, sweeping ECRC, getting a point off of Timbers Army, potentially getting 2, getting a point off of Cauldron, potentially getting 2. This EM Dallas Burn team has gone way better, and no one expected them to be this good. So props to these guys. They deserve to be up in 5th for me. Fourth to first for me is the exact same as yours, Debit. I'm going to go Lysinko Dose, KC Cauldron, FSD Chrome, and Timbers Army. Now, I would have put Lysinko Dose at 3rd had they beat KC Cauldron, but the way they lost and with the momentum KC Cauldron have been showcasing in the past few weeks, I think they deserve to go up to 3rd. So, for me, the top 4 match is yours. The bottom 4, radically different, outside of 8th.
See, that's why I started from the top. Because I feel like it got more exciting at the bottom than it ever did at the top.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. You absolutely are not wrong. And speaking of excitement, I mean, look at the power rankings. Put this in your mind. We will be putting it in the Discord server as well. Because you will never see an ordering like this ever again, in my opinion. I think this just highlights how crazy Week 12 was.
Yeah, no, I honestly can see the arguments unfolding right now, and the fact that EM being 8th was our only consistency is like, you know, kind of crazy. At least we can agree on that. I can understand the argument for EM Dallas Burn being the way they are, given that like Pico David is starting a majority of games more than ever, and that dude is like a platinum, swears he's bad, but he's at least decent and at least doing enough with Caesar and whoever else is in the game to get like some positive result out of it, even if it is a loss. So yeah, that's definitely commendable. You noted ECRC, you know, on the upswing, but not quite, you know, delivering the final blow, while recognizing Sounders RC. Honestly, I can see it. I see the arguments for both. I say that like I'm analyzing 2 different peoples, but I'm analyzing myself and somebody else. So, but just to throw that out real quick.
But I just want to highlight El Matador right now, because what caused them to lose their way in your eyes, Debit? Like, I'm just so shocked to see how they've completely lost all the good teamwork they've had, all the consistency they've had in their execution, and the ruthlessness that they used to display. Now they just don't care if they make a mistake. They just play such sloppy Rocket League. Like, what's happened to them?
You know, I think there's consequences with the have fun meta. As much as we love to proclaim the have fun meta, the vibes meta, because it really does feel like this team is a representation of that. The have fun / vibes meta can still bring out sloppy Rocket League. Whenever it works, like, it looks fantastic, and one thing that you should like praise and acclaim. But also, that sort of laxness about it, you know, it can lead to, the best word is, or the best word to describe this, but it can allow some complacency to enter the lineup. I'm not saying like specific people are like to blame, but I feel like it's just like the way they play. Sometimes you're on. Sometimes you play, everything is just syncing up. You can just pre-jump something and it works. Sometimes you can just go somewhere and the team just hits it right to you. So yeah, sometimes like the have fun meta just like gives the ball right to you and you can score, and sometimes the have fun meta, you just put yourself in one spot and next thing you know, you're getting scored in an open net in pretty embarrassing fashion. So it throws a wild amount of results your way in what I've seen before, and I think this team is a representation of that, and we're just on the downswing portion of it now.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up. It's just, the more I think about it, the more I feel like EM Dallas Burn is a counterexample to that, because they have fun as well, but they execute everything well. It's not like they're not enjoying it.
Oh, I mean, true.
We've talked to Caesar as well. he's basically carrying that team, but he enjoys carrying that team. He has no problem with it. If anything, he really enjoys the players who have lower expectations on them stepping up. In particular, Pico David, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've seen how much better he's getting, but it's also because of how much of a good teammate Caesar has been to him. So I don't want to necessarily give El Matador that out. Oh, they're just having fun. That's why they're sloppy. Because, well, EM Dallas Bird. And some will say Timbers Army as well. They play like they have fun too. They don't play like the most clinical, ruthless Rocket League around, but they're still very, very good. And they're at the top of the table.
Maybe it's allowing those players that don't carry as much, just that opportunity and ability to grow, that it just promotes a better play out of them. So that's like why it helps Caesar out. There's probably a mix of it in somewhere, but that's a good argument to like sort of analyzing these two teams and where they're at this point. I like that. It's a good way to cap off that power rankings for the Premier. And now we do got to talk about the championship, because things got very interesting here within this space, because supposedly things were supposed to like start getting more separated. You start to see the top three get fleshed out more. Maybe FSD Azul start breaking away from Eternal depending on the matchup. Axon Rose and LV would stay about the same. It got more packed together this time around.
Yep.
So with that said, have fun being the first to power rank this.
All right, you know what? I'm going to take your approach. I'm going to go with the easiest rankings and then go to the harder ones. So let's start with the obvious. Rebellion, you guys are at the top. Los Verdes, you guys are at the bottom. 6th place, kind of straightforward. Axon Rose. And I don't want to put them there because it's not a good reflection of where they're going. I mean, they took Frontera Azul to 5. Frontera Azul has also been getting better and better. Like, come on, you don't want to just put Axon Rose at 6, like, oh yeah, they're 6 because that's how they are. No, these guys have been getting so much better. And they can easily go up to 5th and higher should they stick together and keep playing together. These guys have the potential. Speaking of 5th, I'm going to put FSD Azul right here. I mean, if you're going to 5 games against Axon Rose, that's one thing, but the other thing is the other teams around them have done so much better. So with that said, let's go into the rest. 4th. I can't just go off of last week. I have to go off of what I've been seeing over the past few weeks, right? So let's look at Steel Army. They lost to EC Eternal in 5. But they also played against Los Verdes, who didn't really test them that much, but did give them a bit of a hard time in game 2. So you have that, and then you have EC Eternal, who looked really, really good against Steel Army, and also looked quite well against Axon Rose. So 4th place. You're going to get to later. We're going to go up 2nd. And for 2nd, we're going to put EC Defiance in there because these guys have been on a roll, have been very consistent. And they're showing that their game has been getting way more consistent and way cleaner. You're starting to see a team that is not as vulnerable as they used to be, and isn't as weak as they used to be, Unlike, well, their other team in EC Eternal in the championship and Steel Army. They just don't have those weak points that you could be like, oh yeah, this is where they're struggling, this is where they're weak at. Like, it's tough to point out where they struggle. 3rd and 4th. I didn't want to do this. I really didn't want to do this, but I think
you want to do it.
It's really important to highlight just where the teams have been heading based on their momentum in recent weeks. So for me, EC Eternal, you're going to 3rd. Steel Army, you're in 2nd place, but you've been playing like a 4th place team. Yes, that's right. You guys are going to 4th. Because for me, you guys have been going downhill for the past couple of weeks, and you guys have been really, really struggling. And I have to say good luck to you guys in the cup, and we'll talk about that later because you guys will definitely need it.
Damn. You're telling me good luck because I'll need it? Damn, that's harsh. Holy.
Harsh? Yes. True? Yes.
Man. Man, we bring out the big guns here in power rankings. I'm just glad somebody's finally like opposing me in this one, because maybe the bias was starting to show in the power rankings. I got a rebuttal, but first of all, I gotta commend your first, second, fifth, sixth, and seventh power rankings, because that's what I have too.
Oh,
Rebellion,
hell no.
they haven't let up. Defiance totally earned this spot. What are you talking about? Even though they played LV, they've still been playing better. Axe and Rose, they nearly brought it against FSD Azul. Azul, I would have had you higher, but I mean, EC Eternal just had the better result, you know? You know, that's I feel like I just got to put that for 2 5-5 teams that, they get that result. Plus, whenever FSD Azul put it to 5, Steel Army got the job done. EC Eternal get the upswing. But unfortunately, I know we're on a tiny bit of a downswing. I am pulling out the excuse of I didn't play in LV, but we also swept them 2 weeks prior. So in the cup. So I'm taking that slightly into account. This is all bias here, just so you all know and are not clamoring that I am trying to be unbiased. I am looking at a lot of things in mind, and while I am absolutely acknowledging this impressive result, EC Eternal 4, Steel Army 3.
You're doing that to be controversial, aren't you? I need to hear the rationale here, because there's no way. I know you said bias, but come on. There has to be more than just that, right?
Well, that's like an all-encompassing term, right? Like, bias, like, you can assume that it's just like, yeah, no, I get the upswing here just because me, but also, like, I'm not putting myself up above Defiance because we just simply have more points and have grinded out wins. Whenever it comes to this, it was still done in 5. Both teams rotated, so you can't really like argue too heavily against that. Bear didn't look as good. Raisin Boy didn't look as good. Fly Penguin probably should have got more games in that series. But even then,
Yes,
I
even
don't
then.
know. It's still not enough for me. It's still not enough. The Premier, I feel like I can flip some teams around easier because I feel like they're a bit like easier to gauge as far as like skill wise. This is one of those weeks where I just can't tell if a team lit it up for a random reason and caught fire against this. And again, you can obviously argue against me and say that deserves a higher power ranking. But I've also seen FSD Azul do the exact same thing this year, where I thought they were going to end up being the number 3 team by the end of this league. And that is not the case anymore.
Right.
So maybe it's a bit forward thinking, while also being too backward thinking at the same time. You hear how bad this argument is, right?
Well, let me just say this real quick. I see your point about Frontera Azul, right? I get that. With that said, I think we've seen enough from them up until now. Like, we're now approaching the final 2 weeks of the season. We're now in the lower final of the cup. I'd say we're far enough ahead to where we can see how the teams have been trending, right? So, with Frontera Azul, we've seen their ups and downs, and we've seen them be more inconsistent, which is why I think we have both put them in 5th. But you can't tell me that EC Eternal have been on an upward climb throughout this season, because they've definitely been getting better and better and better each and every week, and we're talking about every single player in that team, including a Daifa who is brand new and who was the worst player in their team on paper. He's now looking like a serviceable teammate and looking pretty decent himself. You can't tell me that that doesn't deserve them going up higher, because that's why I put them above you guys. Like, you guys in recent weeks have been struggling a bit. You guys haven't been as clean and consistent and ruthless. EC Eternal have. They kept you guys stuck out of the goal. And not just that, but they took away the control that you had in Game 5. So you were peppering them with multiple shots from like the 3 to 2 minute mark, right? And then as we approached the final minute, they took all control away from you. That is the hallmark of a team that has been constantly improving, when they take control away from a second place team that's better than them on paper. I feel like that's why you have to commend that from EC Eternal and put them higher. You cannot just say, oh yeah, that's just them going and popping off, you know, all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Argument noted. Argument noted.
Listen, I love you guys. I'm not saying this because, you know, I just want to rag on you because, you know, you're the host of the podcast and, you know, we got to do a good cop, bad cop type of talk. No. I'm saying this because I know you guys are capable of better. I played with you and Bear against GC2 smurfing down in Champ 2. You guys showed what you're capable of. Debit, I know you're better too. You've looked better last year than you have this year. I know you're capable of more as well. I just want to see you guys step up.
Inspiration. Hey.
I can give you a better speech, but right now we don't have time for like inspirational speeches. We got to move on in the podcast.
Yeah, we really do. Because you know how easy we can go on tangents with this. Because one, you like to do that, and they're good tangents. And two, because I recognize they're good tangents, I will gladly go down that tangent. So I'm going to stop myself from going down this tangent. And let's start moving into other stuff.
Yep.
But I will concede that argument, even though I'm not changing my power ranking.
Fair. I'm not asking you to change your mind. I'm just asking you to understand.
Oh, I completely understand.
There you go.
That's worth at least a shout.
Oh, yeah. Well, before we move on to the next segment, just want to highlight Caesar coming into the chat. Caesar, good to see you over here, brother. He said, nice to see our development being noticed. Best academy in the league. Best academy in the league, yeah, I'd say so. In the sense that the team was expected to not do much and they're just there to get better together and have fun. But it's those kind of vibes that prop you up, Caesar. You guys don't have that pressure on your shoulders, right? Nothing's weighing you down to the point where you say, I give up. You guys are there to prove a point and to show everyone why you guys should be better regarded, and you guys are. Same thing goes for EC Eternal. They've been playing the same exact way. And EC Defiance, both this season and in the past.
I'm just reading chat.
You see that message from Caesar, right? You're down 2-5 in our series. We don't quit.
They don't, bro.
They don't.
I've seen it. As much as Playboy Farty says he does not care, I bet he care, bro.
Oh, he does care. And you know what? I think that's the perfect segue into the clips, isn't it? Because we do have some clips highlighting some of that action.
Dude, yeah, we actually got to see what was back, because I know there was way too much going on in this to not have like an insane amount of clips going. So let's roll this.
Absolutely. Strap yourselves in, chat. We're back to 10 minutes plus of highlights from week 12. Baby. Here we go. But Casey Calder looking to make up for that. Palace gets the ball out. Smitty towards the net. Thorngold has an opening right there, but he gets a shot off target. Smitty over the post.
How do you not score there? Gets it out of the way. This is not the Thorngold that I know. And I know he's going to show up later, probably in this clip. Oh, okay, close. But still, what a save.
Oh, yeah. Seriously. And then this. Boom, out of nowhere.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Serrano's like, I'm diving in. I'm committing
a kamikaze. What is that diving? He just flipped his car around at the last second and got the perfect dunk.
Bro, he dunked on Kaser, bro. And he always sells himself short. He said, I'm not as good. I'm bad. And he freaking dunked Kaser. Come on, bro. I apologize for the silence. I'm having to deal with
some
turn
into a little bit of a better player, you know? That's the step into the better mechanics.
But what a start for Casey Calder. They get the first goal. We might be going to game 5.
Man.
It's Toronto.
That's a great shot.
For the Sporting KC boys. Look at the chaos. Kaser backflipping in the midfield. And Serrano's like, I got this. I'm a shooter. And he shot it in.
Oh, hell yeah.
They're up 2-0. Might we be going to game 5?
Even he looks like a little bit awkward on like that flip, but like he's still got like an insane amount of power.
Exactly. That's what makes it. That's what makes this so freaking awesome. Yeah, Serrano coming up high, freaking beating him at. Kaiser missing. Serrano's like, give me that shit, bro. And then he gets his hat trick right there.
And Casey Cauldron get their third. What an insane sequence of events
Up and
right
down.
here. After they took the one
Just chilling in mid.
lead,
Oh
they
hell yeah!
got
Look
two
at that,
more
another
goals in
ball.
quick succession.
Yeah, but
And Casey Cauldron are up 3-0.
They lost control after that dunk. What the hell, man? What happened to La Cinco Doce?
This almost looks like an over like calculate or not over calculation, like an
Oh my goodness,
yep.
the misery keeps going
They just
for
keep-
the Austin FC boys.
just keep going, just keep laying it on.
La Cinco
I mean, sometimes whenever you go down to stuff like this, that like,
no goal
well,
from
yeah, it's your
them.
fault,
All from
but
Casey
also you're just like,
Cauldron.
man,
What is
that's the
going
goal that
on
goes
right
in.
here? La Cinco
You tend to just be like,
falling apart.
all right, I need to get
Fatality
something
mentions
back.
in the chat. This
Like
is
anything back.
absolute
So you just start
insanity. We have 2
doing
minutes
dumb stuff
remaining,
too,
and
instead of sticking to
Casey
plan.
Cauldron are up 4-0.
It's so crazy that La Cinco Doce had to deal with that after they absolutely shellacked Timbers Army in the cup. You know, like, someone said they got a bit of a taste of their own medicine there.
Serrano there for making a clutch save. Kaiser takes him out. Debit against Thorigold. Thorigold touches it away, far away
That
from
save from
anyone
Serrano,
else.
by the way, was
Let's
insane.
not try to keep up the pressure, but plays it right to the middle where the 3 defenders were, and the ball goes into the orange half.
Dang,
Given
okay.
the results that have gone for both sides, but
Dude, I
Casey
just like
Cauldron
keep
have done
finding myself
a
just like
terrific
watching
job
this
of
game
getting
5 more
themselves
than
into
reacting,
it.
because it's stuff like that.
Themselves in this game 5. What an insane team play right there.
That is one of the best
Cut.
goals of the season, man.
In front of 3 people in net. Bang, bang, tic-tac-toe.
With an 84-mile-per-hour.
God, imagine getting that much power off pathetic too. That's absolutely insane. That's something you get off of a pinch or like a rumble shot, you know?
Yeah, not something like even just like right in front of net. Okay.
What a save
And then-
indeed from Smitty, getting the ball just high enough
Getting
to bounce off the
just the
crossbar.
best touch possible
That
to
could
go
have
off
been
the
2-1,
crossbar,
but Smitty
get
there
your
to
teammate
save
to
his
carry
team
it
yet
out,
again.
and now you're back on offense again.
Also, I want to say shout out to Rydog for streaming his player POV because this game had some absolutely insane goals, and I'm glad we were able to capture through his Twitch channel. Twitch.tv/itsRydogTV. I mean, look at this beauty. Oh, so good.
Thank goodness for Rydog director cam on this one too, because if he wasn't like on ball cam, we would have not seen that like at all.
Right? Exactly. God, this whole matchup was absolutely fun, by the way, but what makes it all even better is the quality of the goals. Look at this.
Why? Where has this been from Rydog like the entire year?
He even got a goal after this, which showcased like he has the finishing touch. It's kind of like Bear, you know, like if he just unlocks his, you know, mind and gets going, he will absolutely take his game to the next level. Oh,
Yeah,
this
passing
double
play
though.
right here. Yep, that's the dream right there. The dream carry into the off the backboard.
Timbers Army get a 3-goal lead yet again.
Back
The
to
fact that
Just as
even
Ian Dalsberg were coming back, Timbers Army step up.
oh yeah, that's
Now
right. We're
5-2
doing this
between
view.
the two sides. Caesar Wicca and Anomaly.
I saw this at
just
one
getting
point while trying to
overpowered by
spectate
Nelly,
it.
Lloyd Boy, and Rydog.
We made it on stream because I saw you hop into the
Cyberberg
lobby
looks
too.
like they just gave up. I don't know if they gave up per se.
Dude, this
I think they just
goal,
get
this
outpaced and
game was just
they're just getting
so
outmatched at the
crazy.
moment. But you
Oh.
can surely say that they are not giving up because Wicca gets back with another goal.
Rydog's like,
Five-three
no
to Timbers Army
replay,
this
get out.
time.
Move
48
on.
seconds remaining. Never say
Get
never
out, man. Well,
to a
we do not
potential
want to see
comeback.
this defense.
But you cannot deny this offense. I mean, look at this.
What
See,
Caesar now
the?
gets
No,
another.
no.
What is going on?
No, what the?
Lloyd Boy trying to get it out of the way, but Caesar's right there. Lloyd Boy with a big save, but Caesar gets back to the ball, reading that touch from Lloyd Boy.
Bro, if I'm Nelly, I'm like, dude, I saved that. What do you mean?
Back to a
Right?
3-goal lead. They're now down again to a
Why did he
1-goal
fall right
lead.
off?
35 seconds remaining.
Gosh, and then you just go right back to it.
Equalizer.
We're tied.
5 between Timbers.
Look at
Army
that power,
and
74
Dallasburg.
miles per hour, by the way.
Absolute
From
insanity.
Anomaly's weird-looking car.
Absolute cinema.
And then Lloyd was like, nah, normal service.
Match going on. We also have
Like,
EC turtle versus Steel Army in Game 5. Here we go. As Timbers Army take
Yeah,
the
we
lead
have to
yet
go
again.
picture-in-picture here,
Against
by the way.
Dalsburg. They're on match point.
Yep.
That is a huge goal
I
for
saw
them.
this one coming.
6-5. But EM Dalsburg don't want
in
to
a
give
game
up. Look
5,
at
dude,
Caesar.
gosh.
Oh,
Oh,
my
no.
goodness. What are we watching right here?
6-6.
You saw that?
Goals are
double
going
from
in left
Caesar?
and
He
right.
popped that out of nothing.
6-6.
Also, that saved, by the
The
way.
defense is gone.
Save from Deep Sea for EC Turtle.
Okay, thank goodness and hope we hit our wicket hit that.
There's so much action right now, bro. Like high quality action too. We're not talking like just plain gameplay. Like we're talking good freaking gameplay right now.
It's like which POV do you go to, or what do you focus on? And that's the Husky stuff I'm talking about right now. Dude was just a sharpshooter in Game 5.
I'm surprised none of you guys highlighted that and decided to bump him out of the way because he was just standing there waiting for the ball. Debit, you were there too.
I didn't get him in time.
The game is still not over yet. It is now. And we're
He's
going
elusive.
to overtime in Game 4 between Timbers Army
can
and
be, yeah.
Dalsburg. Meanwhile, Steel Army looking to get back. What a second
And
touch
then,
right there. But
yep,
and then there's this. I know what happens.
By the way, Rydog getting the game winner. You know, the guy who sells himself short. Look at that freaking final
Classic
touch.
dribble too.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Absolute insanity. And speaking of absolute insanity, game winner. for
Yep, I'm
Timbers
surprised
Army.
you
Game,
didn't get
set,
to see
and
the goals.
3-1,
Unless you did look back at them
Timbers
afterwards.
Boys. They had a right scare, but they have come
But for,
back. And they have sealed the
PA
deal.
Dalsburg.
Despite all the setbacks
I think that was one of the ones I missed.
Into the middle towards Huskies.
I didn't go back,
Who
like,
plays
a
it
ton.
towards the goal. Debit towards Raisin Boy. Can Raisin Boy get up with 0 boost? No, he cannot.
So,
But
this is what I was
Huskies
talking
also
about,
miss
right?
it. Shot towards the net.
Look at
What a
Huskies
save.
keeping
Yeah,
that
that's-
shit out, bro. That's insane.
Again. And Huskies still stayed strong on the goal line with a massive save.
Typically, when you
to
get dunked
keep
like that, you're
the
prone to
3-goal
conceding,
lead
but somehow
for
he
EC
kept that
Turtle.
out, right?
Yup.
And then, boom, save.
And they just keep going.
Sequence of saves right there from EC Turtles.
I like that.
Don't wanna give
I wish I
up.
saw more of
As
that from
long
you
as
guys.
Steel Army have picked up
Because
back.
if it wasn't just a Game 5 thing, I think you could have won this
From the Seattle
earlier.
Sounders contingent.
Oh, I think so too. They were just holding up on a different level.
Peppered the blue net, but EC Turtle have kept this clean sheet up.
This game will be 2-2 and potentially headed to overtime.
From
but
one picture-in-picture to
EM
another.
Find themselves in a hole, almost find themselves in a bigger
We
hole.
just
Luckily,
wanted to score-
Luis
to
comes in
schedule
save the
everything
day
on the
like
same
he's
days.
Spider-Man and saves a goal from
Look at that double from
Nocturnal,
Gojo, though.
what
Oh,
would have been the
look
dagger.
at that.
Gosh.
Yeah, as you say that,
That's
Palace,
so
we
Him
look
clean,
at
by the way.
ECRC, the other Seattle
Him being
boys
able to
with
convert
beautiful
his clip
double tap
style
from
into
Gojo,
the
aka
gameplay
R7
now is actually
Rich,
just super
you
refreshing
call
to
him, but
see.
we know him as
It
Gojo.
really
That, that
is.
brings like the
Really
most
good double tap.
satisfying plays
I
out
didn't
now.
either.
Yep. And that's why I like Tweet's gameplay over 2's as well. Because as fun as 2's gameplay can be with the individual expression, just doing that against 3 opponents makes the execution, like, it requires the execution to be at a much higher level, one, and when it does go off, it's way more satisfying to look at. Just absolute insanity.
Oh, agreed. Also, just highlighting that save that just came across. Gosh darn, that was a lot of power.
It was, wasn't it?
What a save.
No, Ducky is the only
I
dude
need
who's
to
capable
not
of
let that one go by.
Oh, yeah.
J-bomb off the crossbar. And that's
I'm surprised J-bomb missed that, by the way. And then Blind with that placement.
There's a lot in there.
Bro, I'm telling you, there's so much happening right now.
Boys have scored too. Just a little bit of chaos for ECRC. I think that's really how they play, though. Chelsea Man trying to get this ball in the middle to Shea-bomb.
Oh my
Chelsea
God.
Man. Chelsea Man puts it in early.
The man
lead
who
for
gets
Pro.
constantly shouted by
You're a
Rydog
much
as
better man than I am.
potential,
If I was in
you know,
your spot,
MVP
I would be the
candidate
most
just based on,
biased
like,
commentator ever. So everybody in chat, I
intangibles
want y'all to
alone that
give
he
a round of
brings
applause
about.
to
Right?
Rydog
He just
for
keeps happening.
being impartial, even when it's very difficult to.
Shea-bomb back in time.
Comment by David, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for your reaction to that.
Sorts a little bit. Kojo goes off the ceiling. Can't quite
David
get
says
that.
it like it is,
Spanky
man.
up. Can he put it
Ain't
behind
no-
McDucky?
Oh.
No. It's a great save from the
I
Duck.
thought Spanky was gonna
Chelsea's
hit
clear.
a double
Anybody back
there instead.
for
He was set up
ECRC?
for it
He was,
too.
he was, and then boom.
Gojo, but Chelsea
Oh.
man just big brains Gojo. He's gonna get that insurance.
If that
goal
ball
back
didn't have as much power, I was really
for
looking
the
forward to
boys in
potential like
blue.
turnaround from Gojo right here and then just like slamming off the post. That would have been a clip in its own right, no matter
Oh
what.
yeah, easily.
This one off the backboard. Gojo's there. Can he snipe?
Oh my
gosh,
What
what a
a
shot.
man. What a shot from Gojo.
There's so
It's
many
1-1.
good highlights.
I mean,
you know,
it
we
just
haven't
doesn't
even
get
had
better than
all
that.
of them.
That
There have
is
been some
perfect
other
placement.
dope plays that
He-
have just not been included in here just because of
Taking
how
kinda out of
high
Serrano's playbook.
in quality these showcase clips have been. It's just
Yeah,
so
Matt, I agree
freaking
with you
good.
in chat. I think this is the flimsiest that Chrome has looked, and usually more defensive sound, more playing together, if you will.
More
Looks like
defensively
there's a
sound.
lot of
And then-
But yet,
nonsense going on as Becky Ducky once again
Dude,
saved. Chrome
It's like no
from
matter
going
what
down in
Chrome
this
does,
match.
but they still find a
Yeah,
way to
this is one
win
of
the
my MVP
series,
this
though.
match.
They always find a way.
J-Bomb has to go collect and
honestly,
regroup
they
in
should have
his own
lost
half
against
of the field, which
ECRC.
he does.
But game 5,
Yeah.
Oh,
How's
wow.
he gonna get
What a
this
goal.
one on target?
What a
again?
goal.
That is the most Smashly goal I've ever seen, other than an own goal.
Gosh
Gojo
darn.
playing
That's a Smashly that we're used to
backflip,
seeing.
totally
Right?
caught
He's
Chelsea
returned.
out.
no, we
Personally,
have
I
seen
wouldn't take that
like a
disrespect.
whole host of goals. I'm glad
Personally, I
Smashy's goal
would
got
not.
showcased here as well because he was
He said
popping
that's
off
crazy.
today.
He's the one who said it.
Absolutely popping up today. That last week, sorry, he was absolutely popping off. By the way, just such
I'm-
a phenomenal series of matches this week.
I know we've seen like it's kind of like player before, but Smashly is like that utility player that you just can't get rid of because you know he just has a chance to just change a series. It's why you just can never like truly count him out, or like he could be thinking about, hey, maybe I'm thinking about not playing this season. No, you should just play. We need you around just in case.
No, they should not try to ever replace him.
Oh yeah, ever. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
no, because it's those kind of players who thrive in SGL. I mean, we've talked about this already. SGL is a bit of a weird league. You can't just bring the best players together and expect them to function. You need players who can offer that little bit different. They may not have a complete skill set. They may not be as mechanical, but they offer qualities that the opposition just can't handle. And for Smashy, it's aggression, it's his positioning, it's good game sense.
Yeah. He just knows how to play within that system that they've built up so well. Hey, he just can never fully like. Yeah, he's just built for it, and he still gets it done.
Yep, absolutely.
No matter how much his team and community just be like, Smashly, own going again. No matter what.
Yeah, I think that's just a trope that's developed, but nah, he's not that kind of player.
Yeah.
Nowhere near.
Yeah.
We could
Oh,
talk
man.
about how those kind of players might be replaceable, but the more you think about it, El Matador could do with a player like Smashly.
Probably. I mean, it'd probably take a little bit, but I would take that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about a Smashly-like player from the FC Dallas player pool, it has to be Wicca. Wicca has been such a good player this season. No one talks about him, but he always delivers.
Exactly. And like you see now, Wicca's getting more playing time. You get him, Pigo David, maybe Anomaly thrown in the mix with Caesar leading the charge. Team's looking pretty fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about a bunch of different players and what they contribute. I think it's time we bring back the top 5 stats. Thank you, Ball Chaser, for updating and fixing your problems. We're back. Capfly, thank you very much. Please get some help. There are a whole lot of devs who are happy to help you out. Just look for help, bro. I know you need it. I don't know who's gonna pass this message to you, but someone better. Anyways, top 5 time, Debit.
Yep. We got to take a look because we're going to start forming those MVP conversations. So it's good to take a look in, get the chat looking, get any viewers looking, see what kind of players are working with, especially, as we enter in, because, I mean, the favorite of the season for the Premier has obviously been Boy, but we've also thrown out Ducky, Chelsea Man, Runsal. Dude, Caesar is like been defensive, like transition to offensive, like GOAT right now for the Premier, and like in a championship, it's been like pretty much like a short show. But also like Trick is still holding it down in defense. Steel Army's still staying around the ranks, but it is still primarily like a rebellion-driven league. But it's good to at least see like the other players, especially Huskies, consistently get into the mix now. Honestly, a low-key shout to at least potentially be on like the radar for like an MVP style pick. as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Huskies has to be in the picture for the championship MVP. We talked about Bears, Shorts, and Polar a whole lot, but Huskies has inserted himself into the conversation. He hasn't played as much as the aforementioned three, but he has delivered every single game that he has played. So props to him for that. Shout outs to him for sure. I was thinking by now we'd be seeing Bisbo come into the MVP picture, but very surprising to see him not even be mentioned until now by any of us. I think that says a whole lot about the kind of team EC Defiance is, where they don't have any defined top player. They just like to have everyone work together and play for each other. But I still think Bisbo has the capability to go higher. But for now, they're a good team. They're a dang good team. And in terms of individuals who are, showcasing themselves, you're seeing them at different bits, like Parks in the goals per game, Nose in the assists per game, Bird Nana in the saves per game. It goes to show you that every player in that team has a role to offer. And they're all coming together and performing way better than the sum of their parts.
Yep. You always gotta be ready to step into a potentially different role as well, because sometimes teams will game plan around one player that they want to pick on or like take out of the play a bit more. So you got to be ready to step up in some other areas, especially when it comes to game planning, because I mean that's what ECD have basically built. They built like a rotational system where they don't have to rely on a three. They can just throw out three. And if they get like one player that they kind of just want to plug in, you see them at the field at so many different times that you almost have to like patiently wait your turn and then just keep grinding them down until you get to that spot where you feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not to say they're 100% flawless. I did bring up the fact that they don't have they have major weaknesses. That's true. They don't have major weaknesses, but you can absolutely open them up. If you can just get that faster pace going and keep the ball up in the air and force them to use up their boost, they'll just fall back and you can pin them back.
Yeah, definitely can. By the way, Skyline, welcome into chat. Thank you for the 100 bits. The classic Skyline 100 getting thrown chat. Appreciate it, brother. Hope you're doing good.
Seriously. Can I also highlight he donated 500 bits on that night where we had the final double header? Bro, he's insane.
My guy. Coach GM of this El Matador, just everybody. He's just Dallas overlord over here. Might as well be.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Speaking of Dallas, notice how you only see Caesar amongst the Dallas mentions alongside Anomaly in saves per game. You don't see Luis anywhere. You'd expect to see him given how well he's played over the past few seasons, but this time, he's been mid in terms of his statistical output. Kind of crazy, eh?
Yeah, because even if he took a backseat, say in terms of games played, you'd expect him to see at least on a couple other categories, probably saves and assists, because you'd think that'd be where he maybe want to take a more supplementary role. But no, we're not even seeing him anywhere. This is kind of a crazy shift now. Maybe it was mildly by design that this became the way that it was because of how it was set up. But yeah, it's crazy to think that this EM team it looks completely different from last season. I'll give them that. But you bring up a good point. You probably at least see Luis on one of these. At probably the very worst, probably points per game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he still was able to grind it out.
Yeah. He's still a dang good player. And we're not seeing him anywhere. That's the crazy part in all this. And Skyline, maybe you could tell us a bit more in chat. Because Caesar is asking, are conversations being had? And I'd love to know. I'd love to know what's going on with that El Matador team. So if you can offer that insight, that'd be really good. But whilst you wait for your response, if any, can I just talk about Toad Death? Because despite his relative struggles recently, he's still in the top 5 in assists per game and in both saves categories, which just goes to show you how phenomenal he was in the first half of the season. Just such a good player. And I know he has the capability to get back there. And maybe it's what you said. If he could just settle into that third man role, I think he'll absolutely thrive. But for some reason, he just hasn't been passing my eye test personally. But He still has it
You
in
know
it,
what
for sure.
You know what I almost want to notice about, some of the teams. I'm gonna point out 3 teams in particular
Yep.
that I want to highlight because of their talisman not particularly getting across some of these stats or as prevalent as they should be. You mentioned Luis, you mentioned Toad. I know I'm stealing the microphone with this, but Bearblitz has taken the lead across everything for Steel Army.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, my God. Well, except assists, total assists, because Raisin Boy's there, too. Well, oh, no, you know what? That's a tie. That's a tie. It's close enough. Okay, never mind.
It's like the back seats being taken for like the front 2 to like make their way and try and see what can be done there.
Yeah.
So like you gotta wonder how like this is not like a state secret, but like you wonder how like some of these teams are forming and developing any sort of game plan if like these 3 that we're used to seeing like prominently all of a sudden just go into the shadows a bit more.
Yeah, it's a really good point to bring up for sure. I wonder if it's just them. Maybe it's just, once you set that expectation, you start to get into your head a bit. I'm saying this out of personal experience. Like when I start to play well, people tell me I'm playing well. Like, oh my God, you're doing so well. You're amazing. I then get into my head a bit. I'm like, okay, I have to keep playing like this. And then if I don't match even a bit of that, I'm like, oh shit, I suck. It's over.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Trying to match the expectations. It's always you can't let that like enter your psyche too hard, or else it just like you start forcing some stuff that shouldn't be there. You're not letting the game come to you. And speaking of like these conversations, you got your answer in chat right there. Skyline's telling you about like trying to balance Huey getting into the squad, trying to say maybe run the duo of Skyline Gnostics combo and then just plugging in a third. I mean, you 2 do play doubles a lot, so I don't mind seeing like you 2 like constantly take the pitch and then just getting a third that can supplement where you 2 just quite aren't there, because Gnostics is really good mechanically. You're really good at least being a demo or getting a shooter, because I've seen your shots before, bro. You are built for the Prem, given what I've seen. And you're able to follow Gnostic shots really well and passes. So you get a third that can at least supplement you defensively, maybe a couple spots in midfield where you can get a couple passes interrupt. I could see it.
That brings up an interesting point. Should El Matador build themselves around Gnostics and Skyline? Would that take them to the next level? Because that might explain why Luis is not at the top of his game. Because it's not that his teammates aren't necessarily fitting him, it's the other way around. He is not fitting in with his teammates. Maybe that's what's going on, eh?
See that. You feel like we're holding him back? Well, that could just be a part of the growing process in a way. Because sometimes it can be difficult to play with that duo, but I feel like that does kind of get solved with time to a bit. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience with my team, given that we can plug a third in most cases.
Yeah, time does come into play, because you could see that with EM Dallas Burn. Like, they were struggling so badly at the start, and now they're just looking so much better. And I think maybe El Matador has just had too big a change. I mean, Luis was playing with Caesar for a while. He was playing a bunch of games last season with not Ponzi, what's his name? Kiwi. Kiwi is not featured yet this season, by the way, which is very unfortunate to see. Because I think he could have elevated El Matador to the next level. But I think Luis, for the past few seasons, has been playing with Caesar a whole lot. This season, 0. I think he's had to get used to that, and I think that's what's held him back a bit. Because I don't think he's been able to adjust. And we got to talk about Huey as well, because he got transferred over to El Matador to get his gameplay going, and he showcased his own ability, but he's still not fitting in with the team. So I wonder if it's a matter of time for him. Like, he just has to get used to his teammates, right?
This is like one of the worst conversations I hate to have, because I love Huey. Dude tries hard, loves the game, loves his college football and his hockey. Love talking to that dude. But gosh darn, the trail of results that follow him may be just a tragedy in its own right.
And it's not
I don't
on
know
him.
what else to say.
It doesn't have to be on him either. Like, no one should blame him for those results. It's just, I think the team is in a flux. El Matador is in a flux. And I think what Caesar says is correct. El Matador has a high floor but a low ceiling. What? No. High floor, low ceiling. Isn't that EM Dallas Burn?
No. I don't necessarily think so. I would think EM has the higher ceiling and lower floor given what they put out on the pitch. I feel like with EMDB, you kind of know what you're working with, even if you throw in Pico David. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like you know what you're about to expect. There's not too much fluctuation between, like, it's almost like their range between ceiling and floor kind of like shifts with them.
Yeah.
Rather than like expands, if you know what I mean.
God, we could keep talking about this, but I just be like,
Yeah, I know. We gotta move on. We gotta do something.
Yes.
Because I gotta call it. I'm calling it here. We gotta quit this because we can go on tangents forever. And I know this is something that we literally could do in an episode one time, just ranking teams and talking about them. But I could literally talk for hours about that, and I really need to regain some sleep tonight before I go to work tomorrow. Just being completely real with you all over
No,
here.
absolutely. Busy times.
I'm gonna cut this one.
Yep.
We'll have to bring it one other time, or at least just talk in VC one time if y'all want to bring it up sometimes, or at least like maybe like an end of season stuff where we have conversations about these teams. We could definitely do something like that. But for now, we do gotta talk about this upcoming week where we only have 2 matchups to work with because we are quite literally in Cup Week between the Prem and the Championship. End of season SGL Roundtable, totally. I mean, we kind of do that in VC most of the time anyway, but if we do it with with a bigger audience, totally down. But yeah, Premier Cup just coming up on your screen right now. EM, a team that we have ragged on a lot this episode, going up to play Los Cinco Doce in the Dallas-Austin rivalry. Signs all point to Los Cinco Doce winning this one, and I'm not going to go against that predictee, and I know we'll talk about it later whenever we do the slide stuff, but that's at least your preview for that. Winner will be going on into the grand final to take on Chrome, who have battled their way all the way to top spot, and they're looking like if they can't potentially take the league title, they can at least be battling for cup title.
Yeah, I can't wait for this. I think this is going to be an insane cup tournament when we look back at it, and if El Matador can switch on, I think they are still capable of some success this season, but they need to have a miraculous turnaround. But I'll save the rest of my discourse for later.
True. Because we do got to bring up the championship bracket real quick. Because the Rebellion are waiting the winner of FSD Azul and Steel Army. After the early clash between Steel Army and Rebellion, they got sent down in a bout all the way back to play FSD Azul, who should give them a rousing time here in the lower final. That one I think should be a lot closer, at least on paper from what I'm seeing. But yeah, both these teams looking for a little bit of redemption against the Rebellion to maybe salvage the rest of their season and get a positive result.
Oh yes, and it's crazy to think of, of how these two teams, Azul and Steel Army, have had their recent struggles, relatively speaking, but they are still so close. They're right there on the cusp of a grand final, and this is going to be so much fun to watch. I mean, the last time these two played each other, we saw an absolute banger of a 5-game matchup in the league. They could go as far, if not further, in the cup. That's for sure.
Completely agree. We do got to bring back one of Rydog's segments, one that we introduced a while ago, which is the Maz Mania meter. appropriately named after producer Maz himself, and just works so well with the alliteration with Medium or with Meter and Mania that we just had to go with Maz. And plus, this dude's already juiced up, giddy for these cup brackets to keep going on. So why not keep the flow going, as we are going to be talking about these cup matches, except this time we don't have a Rydog face. It is the actual GIF of Benitez.
Yes.
So that's wonderful to see.
Rafa Benitez immortalizing himself in the Mazmania meter, and we are going to talk about how we feel about EM versus Los Cinco Doce, with Los Cinco Doce being the clear favorites. Let's make that very clear. So what we're going to talk about here is Los Cinco Doce going to have a chill time, or are they going to have to lean forward, really focus, be at the top of their game against an El Matador side that's been struggling but could potentially surprise?
Yep, that absolutely is the discussion right now. And yes, we are operating on the assumption that this is Los Cinco's time against EM, not the other way around. Just so you all can see that.
Yeah, let's be clear. Like, despite EM coming in from the upper bracket, and Los Cinco Doce having to go through the lower bracket gauntlet, Los Cinco Doce are the favorites on paper. Let's not, talk about, oh yeah, cup history and all. No, let's focus on recent performances, especially. Los Cinco Doce are the better side. Go ahead, Debit.
Yep. Let's operate on that. And I know this is gonna not be like a super real-time thing, but you see me already highlighting over this. I am very cautiously wondering where to put this, because if I'm Los Cinco Doce, and if I'm looking at that after taking that kind of loss to KC, and you're looking to build that against the Cauldron, and you're thinking about the time you're going to have against El Matador, considering that the form that they're on, well, I'm thinking that they're going to have a pretty easy time about this. I do not foresee much of an upset alert. I'm sorry, Ian.
Interesting, because this is the cup, and I think Los Cinco Doce are not just gonna have, to deal with an El Matador team that has a chip on their shoulder, wanted to show everyone that they're absolutely good, and especially an El Matador team that's so close to success. I think they're gonna deal with the pressure on their own shoulders of expectation, of the fact that they are the better team and they have to deliver. Look at this, Debit. You basically highlighted them here this far back. I feel like that would be the community consensus, right? I'm gonna have to take my real-time adjustments, you can see right here, and as you can see, the image doesn't float around. You just see the box. So where do I put it? Where do I put it? Where do I put it? Ooh, I feel like I was thinking like this, right? But then I thought a bit more about Los Cinco Doce and how they can pressure themselves. So I think I'm gonna put them slightly further ahead right here. Yeah, there's a bit of an overlap, but it should give you an idea of where I am putting them. I think Los Cinco Doce will still be chill, but they're gonna have to be a bit wary. With that said, there's a huge asterisk here. If they are in trouble, I can easily see it going in this direction, because as we've seen against KC Cauldron, when they lose control, they lose control. But for now, right here.
I could definitely see that argument, but I gotta operate like this is before we see anything, right?
Yeah.
I'm just this is strictly you're looking on paper. This is my thoughts go and whatnot. We know this Los Cinco Doce team is very capable of losing it all once things go south.
Yeah.
But yeah, on paper, I feel like this is where it's got to be. It's got to be further on this side. I may be a bit more extreme in saying that it's more chill than it has to be, but I can understand at least the factor going into this that it could be, well, maybe EM's got something to prove here.
Yep, for sure. Right, so, if you guys don't remember how the slides went the last time, the next couple of slides are going to be looking at potential matchups in the grand final. So we're going to see how we would predict the matchup if Frontera Chrome were to face off against Cinco Doce, and then afterwards how they would fare off if they face off against El Matador. So let's go to the next slide. I think we're done here.
Yep.
Come on. Next slide. No, no, not that. Why is it nudging the image?
Come on, Tech.
Okay. Next slide. Boom. Frontera Chrome versus Lasico Dose. Let's say the favorites do make it into the final, and we have a clash of the titans. If you look at the league matchups, Lasico Dose beat Frontera Chrome 3-1 the first time, and then the second time Frontera Chrome swept Lasico Dose. Both away teams won in these league fixtures. Yes, Lasico Dose were the away side when they beat Frontera Chrome 3-1. Frontera Chrome were the away side when they swept Lasico Dose. Debit, how would you predict this?
Wow, so just to be clear, we're saying Frontera are, the paper favorites, right?
Yes, because of how they've played throughout the season. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Because I'm glad you brought that up. The fact that in the second matchup of them playing each other, Lasico Dose got swept, and they had just brought in Kaser at the time, and where we all thought, oh crap, this team is probably going to be something else. And the next thing you know, maybe it was just first game jitters, but yeah, it didn't go well for Lasico Dose. So they already have experience against Kaser, which really does help them. However, Lasico Dose have definitely been on another level, and Frontera also have a chip on their shoulder to at least get the job done in a thing where they potentially could at least salvage the season with a cup title. However, given all this and what I'm looking at, I think it's fair to say that we're on the opposite side.
Ooh. Interesting. You know what? I do agree with that. I do see it that way. So I'm just going to dive in with my prediction. You guys can see where my box is going. I'm not going to lean in one way or another. Where do I see this going? I'm going to put it right here. Yeah, I think there's going to be a high likeliness of a potential upset, meaning Lasico Dose beating Frontera, because if they make it to the final, I think Lasico Dose will be fully up for it. They'll be fully motivated. Frontera will not be able to deal with that.
Oh, okay. Going even further down that, I think I'm putting a little bit more on Frontera's shoulders with this one. But yeah, I definitely dig the idea of Lasico Dose again. Yo, nope, this is our time. We're ready to run it. Yep, huge upset alert incoming. No matter how good they play us the first time, this is our time. I like that.
That's right. Next, Frontera versus El Matador. Should El Matador get a big upset and go into the grand final? How do you predict this? Of course, Frontera are the favorites. They have beaten El Matador twice. Convincingly, too, for that matter. So, Debit.
This may be the most polar opposite of two teams you could ask for in the cup final. Frontera Chrome are an absolute bastion of stability and getting stuff done. El Matador, they have beaten some of the best teams and also lost in hilarious fashion. So where do you put it? Obviously, in some random spot like this.
Oh,
it's not going to be chill. It's going to be a little. It's going to be a little chill, but not as crazy as you think. I think it's going to be way more back and forth. If EM do make this final, there is going to be something to play for that this team is going to lock in for. Frontera are definitely going to have to start getting the gamers set up. And I think it's going to force them to, it's going to be closer than probably expected, but I still would expect Frontera to win that.
Interesting. I could definitely see that. But I think for me, El Matador has to be 100% on top of their game. And I just don't think they're going there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them right here. I think this is going to be relatively comfortable for Frontera just because of how the last two matches have gone. And if anyone from El Matador is watching this either live or on YouTube or on Twitch, if the past broadcast is still up, and you don't like me making it seem like Frontera is going to have an easy time, I will say 3 words to you. Prove me wrong.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think you would have consensus here based on that. mine is pretty much gut reaction. So.
Right. No time to waste. Let's move on to the championship.
Yep.
Frontera Azul versus Steel Army. This is going to be a tough one to call. Of course, Steel Army are the favorites on paper, but I'm going to go first because Debit, you can come bounce in afterwards. But I think for me, oh, this is tough. You guys definitely have to sit up. You have to lean forward, you know? So you're going to have to get off of the backrest, bring your shoulders forward, you know, get into adrenaline mode so you can be in full focus. And I think even then it's going to be tough. I think we can see an upset. I think we can absolutely see an upset right here.
That is further along than I thought it would be, but also I'm the one playing, so it's good to get this perspective in, because whenever I was thinking about this matchup, I would agree with you on a lot of points, especially the way Azul played us last time. They knew where to hit us hard, and it definitely caused us to be at our best, winning that one in 5. However, after looking back, I will actually agree that it is a bit more on the upset side. But I'm going to say right here.
Yep, fair.
We're in the same ballpark.
Wait, Caesar, you're wrong. Me? I'd like to hear more. I'm actually curious because, yeah, I think I might be exaggerating a bit right here, but I want to know your thoughts. And Debit, I definitely understand, like, you guys are going to have to be focused. I think the way you put it is probably more reasonable. Once again, though, I'm doing this in the hopes that you can prove me wrong. And I hope you guys can, because you guys are definitely capable of better.
Yep, I could put that matches up with how you did power rankings and whatnot too. So, I see the vision.
Right. Let's move on. So, if the favorites make it, Steel Army, they'll face off against the Rebellion in the grand final. Now, the Rebellion have beaten Steel Army twice in the league. One in 5 games. The other, I believe that was a sweep. And even in the cup, they got swept. So, Rebellion are the clear favorites right here. For me, if Steel Army were to make it to the final against the Rebellion, considering everything that has gone on with the Rebellion, considering, Steel Army facing them for the 4th time, potentially, I still think Rebellion will be fine, but I'll put it closer to the middle. I think they will need to be more on top of their game, but I think they should be okay.
I would kind of agree with you there. There's not much to talk about whenever it comes to this, because I think the results is spoken for themselves. I'm almost about to break out the meme that it's not a rivalry, they kick our ass. But at the same time, it's not a complete ass kicking, but they do tend to be pretty comfortable. So that's why I throw them over here.
Hey, that's perfectly fair. I'd say that's perfectly reasonable for sure. Now, if you think
just do enough.
Sorry?
They do enough to sort of keep you on your toes all times. And if you're not perfect in one moment, all of a sudden Triple C's just demoing you when you're just about to challenge for something, and that's what Rebellion do super well. So I expect them to continue that and probably cause a lot of trouble.
And that's the thing with the Rebellion. I'm glad you brought that up, Debit, because the Rebellion tend to match up against their opponents, and if their opponents are better, they will get better too. And when they get better, they're a much tougher opponent to deal with. Right.
100% agree.
Moving on. If you thought this was relatively straightforward, how about if Frontera Azul face off against the Rebellion? Oh boy. I don't have much else to say. I think the results speak for themselves. I think this is going to be easy peasy.
Oh my god.
And if you don't like that, 3 words, once again. Prove me wrong.
Well, sir, I'm sorry. I don't feel like proving you wrong. I would think the same thing. Mine doesn't even overshadow you. It literally just lines up. The gift takes over. It says, no, Maz is on top. He got the thing predicted first. Because honestly, even if, of all things, Azul get there, which is very possible, this team is very talented. the Rebellion, whenever you put them into a do or die or something that is on the line for a title, they just get it done. And also, we haven't even talked about it yet. It's bracket reset territory too.
Oh my
Does
god,
Azul
yeah.
have it? Does Azul have it in them for 2 series?
True.
Potentially, given that they're on a time difference. But I would expect Rebellion to just go all out in the first series and just kill it like once and for all.
Yeah, that is a very good point, actually. I didn't think about the bracket reset. You know what? In that case, I think these predictions make way more sense.
I almost didn't think about that because I didn't consider it as much whenever it came to the final, because I think both these teams are capable of pulling out whatever the result is, even if they go 2 series. But I feel like this plays a bit more of an effect in the championship. Also, say what you want about time difference, it is a factor. We have like straight East versus West. If Shorts has to play at like 11:30 midnight, if Debit has to play at midnight, and Red 4 has to stay up, brother, and we're like in the second series, that's a lot of energy spent.
Absolutely agreed. You know what? I think that's a perfect point to wrap up that segment. Great. I enjoyed that bit, by the way. I enjoyed that whole time where we were talking about and predicting them. I wish we could yap a whole lot more, but we are going towards 10 p.m. Eastern. We have crossed the 90-minute mark in the SGL podcast. But let's just look back at this, week. Absolute cinema, by the way. Look at all these results. We had 3-0s and 3-1s all across the board for the past couple of weeks. And now we have 4 3-2s, 1 3-1 that should have been a 3-2, and only 2 sweeps, but one of them was a massive upset. Just an absolutely insane week. And I'm happy to see that SGL has come back to entertain us again.
Yeah, I mean, for a sec, we legit thought it was lost. We were like, oh, shoot, here we go. The results are going to go as, predictable within the final weeks. Title race is going to be all set. Although, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, that kind of is forming into its own way. But the bottom half just wants to be as entertaining as hell before we wrap up the season. And honestly, so be it. The way these teams have been developing, I'd rather take some underdogs, take some swings at the big dogs before we wrap this season up. That's a good way to end it.
Oh yes, big time. And you know what? As we wrap up this stream, let's just take a quick look at the league table as well. 2-horse race in in the Premier. It's a 2-horse race, a potential 3-horse race in the championship, but that requires Rebellion to really, really slip up. And we could talk more about that in the next podcast episode once the cup matches are done. But as you can see right here, we're getting near the end, Debit, and what a way to start wrapping up this season with an absolutely insane series of results. Just so much fun, so much entertaining Rocket League. SGL always delivers, and I'm so glad we have this going this season. It's been so much fun.
It really has been. So, and now we're starting to get to that wind down point. So people are thinking about, how do we go all out for the last of this? And then all of a sudden we'll start thinking about the new season the week after the season ends, and I'm going to be like, guys, don't do it again. But for now, let's just enjoy the last ride of this season. Let's make it a bang. Let's go out with a bang. League tables, you know what to do. Cup brackets, you're almost done. Let's have a good week upcoming. 2 matchups. Those will be scheduled soon. So make sure you keep an eye out on the Twitch for those matchups. They'll be coming at you soon. Hopefully one on Thursday, and hopefully the next we'll get word of soon. But for episode 35 of the podcast, for myself and the only Mazar here in the booth taking over for Rydog, hope he's doing well and celebrating a wonderful night. For all those in chat, Caesar, Deep Sea, good to see you, bro. All the people that I literally missed, sorry, my chat refreshed, and Skyline as well, can't forget, with the bits. For everybody in chat, thank you for joining tonight. Hopefully you get to watch us back. And until next matchup, we will see you next time. Peace.
Peace.